Hi everyone. Expect spine-chilling tales that will make you wonder about our world's hidden truths. I think today's narrative is about a few troublemakers who can't keep their thoughts to themselves and the darker side of the adult service industry. But I hope everything I say is fiction. Start today's tale. South Korea has occupations that have existed since the dawn of time: red light districts. Tiny alleyways lined with adult service establishments illuminated up in red light like many other countries. These sites, mostly around rail stations or downtown outskirts, exist but are illegal. After several comprehensive public power interventions and the creation of a special law to crack down on the adult industry, in 2004 they were forced out of their long-established territories by urban development and scattered across residential and motel towns. Of course, these become massage parlours and office-stills that offer these services, and supply continues as needed, playing blind and deaf. A post on Mixed Martial Arts Cafe, a male-dominated online group, launched today's alarming urban legend on September 14, 2010. Story of Dream Palace, a motel near Suwon station, circulated throughout the town. The 1990-born college sophomore who posted this anecdote was unsophisticated and had never held a woman's hand. This student, who got off at Dongdaebu station around 1:10 a.m. and was walking home on the right footbridge, heard old ladies grasp his arm and say, "Come play for a cheap 30,000 won, or approximately 23 USD. He ignored it because his house was around the corner and he was going home. He then asked elderly men who might know what those ladies did out of curiosity. A user named Drift commented, "A woman who is more beautiful than any other celebrity but has no arms or legs may also come in a bag." The comment said, "Real. Suwon station was my 2001 military leave exit." A woman was saying, "Hey, it's 20,000 won, only 20,000 won." So I ran after her. Drift, who was told to go to the room first and was waiting with a fluttering heart, believing he would have a nice time with a gorgeous escort, gave the old lady the money up front, stating he could take his time. A travel bag arrived after 2 minutes. He opened the bag, confused, to see a lovely woman with a flawless figure and face. Drift, who didn't see anything unusual since the woman was too lovely, thought, "How can a person get inside a bag?" and saw that she had no arms or legs. After witnessing the woman without limbs in the bag, Drift rushed madly back to Suwon station in terror. After calming down amid the crowd, he felt heartbroken and went home because he couldn't report what he was doing to her to the authorities because it was unlawful. He said he never went there again after being shocked. His emphasis was that it happened at Dream Palace, an actual motel across Suwon station. Even his junior companion's story was added. The companion, partnered with a physically intact woman, wondered why she wouldn't take off her sunglasses. She said one eye was missing. 4 days after this surprising reply, I'll Tell You submitted a more serious and thorough account of a similar story he had on Today's Humor. The anecdote began with, "I never thought I'd bring up this story," and was about his military service. As the newly recruited soldiers returned from their 100-day leave one by one, he heard the narrative and casually asked what they were doing outside. One man looked pale, and the junior soldier's solemnity and lack of laughing stuck with him. The username, "I'll Tell You," heard the new soldier's story after the evening roll call and bedtime. He admitted that recalling that incident still gives him shivers. After drinking too much with a friend and losing his senses, the new soldier was roaming around the motel when an old lady appeared, clearly in the adult service business. He requested a very obedient girl and paid her extra in his intoxicated state. Seeing him as a usual motel goer, The old lady smiled mysteriously and turned around, saying, "Okay." The new soldier waiting in the motel was about to leave in fury when the old lady returned without a girl, but he stopped when he saw her holding a bundle. The old lady placed down her load, stating she was a very dutiful girl, told him to have fun and leave whenever he wanted, then exited the room. The senior soldier initially believed she brought a drunk woman. He opened the bundle to reveal a cheerful woman in her early 20s. He didn't notice anything when he undressed her to her chest, but her shoulders felt weird. Before undressing her sleeves, the new soldier discovered the woman had no arms. Considering himself intoxicated, he checked her lower body. He found it unusual, and when he unwrapped the bundle, it was her clothes, and she had no limbs. After a few steps, the soldier yelled and fell on his knees, frightened. After viewing this, she grinned and wriggled toward him, asking why. The terrified new soldier swore and rushed away, leaving the old lady chuckling and asking, "Did you have fun, young man?" He fled because he was insane. Hysteria was identified a few days before this new soldier was discharged and transported to the military hospital. Username I'll Tell You, who wrote about this story online, claimed to have worked in adult business and moved on after a crackdown. He wasn't sure if the guy was lying. This story was laughed off by employers and executives at drinking parties, who urged him not to fool around. When a freshly appointed executive changed his demeanour and asked how he knew, credibility was restored. He determined that this episode, which industry insiders either dismiss as improbable or don't reveal for security reasons, occurred 13 years ago. This scary Suwon station story, which has been circulating for over 10 years, is defined by Dream Palace Motel. There are 2 dream palaces in Suwon. However, most of the photographs of this urban legend on the internet and YouTube channels are of the motel before it was refurbished. The hotel owners and Suwon City Hall Women's Policy Division officials in charge of adult services crackdowns also dismiss this as a lie. Even with money, cutting off women's limbs, adorning them, and forcing them to perform these services for 20,000 won is ludicrous. Similar rumours about these women missing limbs are spreading from Suwon Station to the red light district near Yeondeunpo Station. There are also reports that a middle-aged Yeondeunpo bar owner is holding such women in a container box. This urban legend about the Dream Palace is based on the Orleans mythology in France. Orleans, in the Lorette department of Saint-Val de Loire, is where Jeanne d'Arc's story unfolds. It suddenly became the centre of bizarre tales in May 1969. Speculation spread that if you entered the subterranean changing room of an Orleans boutique, you would be sedated and sold to overseas traffickers. Later, others claimed the criminals were Jewish, making the myth anti-Semitic. The story was later disproven by a campaign after 2 racist organizations promoted it. A Japanese traveler encountered a makeshift theatre in a distant village in China called Dharma, where a dismembered Japanese person was on stage. In this narrative, individuals exhibit humans with all except the torso, including the tongue, for money. If their tongues aren't cut off, they ask Japanese people for help in Japanese, but amid the heated atmosphere of the Chinese people, they pretend not to understand, leave the store, and return to Japan. After feeling bad, the traveller investigates the dismembered individual and discovers that it was a solo traveller who went missing in China. However, nothing has been confirmed, so we may never know if these awful urban tales are true. These tales were embellished and passed down for decades. As adult services became stigmatized and hidden, these narratives became fearful. This may have spawned the Suwon Station urban legend. It's unsettling that these women are now part of urban tales about amputated limbs and no human rights. It's terrifying. Remember that these urban legends victims are consumers who committed crimes. It's shocking how they propagate these stories, which they wouldn't tell their girlfriends or wives, as interesting. It's astounding that these online forums, the basis of these claims, suggested that immobile women would have developed amazing core strength to sustain their bodies. Our episode for today is over. If you have interesting real crime ghost stories or urban legends to offer, let us know. We appreciate your time and look forward to more terrifying stories in our upcoming episode. Stay tuned and see you soon.